Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Now, I have a story that I'm going to share with you all that really doesn't fit the criteria of things that I want to talk about. But there's a need for viewers to be informed of certain things because not everyone is awake and not everyone is aware of everything that is happening. Some of you have stated that you don't watch the news, and so certain things you will never come across. And so you tune in here and you are able to hear some of these things that are happening around the world, whether it's in your neck of the woods or across town or across country. Anyway, like I said, this is not typically the type of story that I want to continue to cover. I've covered these things before in the past, and I've covered them recently as well, certain types of things such as this, but I'm kind of trying to phase out of certain storylines. But there is a way that I can share this information or news with my people and still be in keeping with the purpose of redirecting. I hope I explained that right. And let me tell you what I mean by this. First of all, let me give you the title of this article that I read. It's an article on News One, and it's titled this. They didn't spell it all the way out, but it's effing in words. Racist NYPD cop jailed for breaking into a black woman's home. Okay, and so at this point, I think that we all know that there is racism alive and well in this world. Especially here in the US. And so I just want to read just a tiny little bit of this article, and then I'm going to show you my redirection for these types of instances. Because we need those positive affirmations and we need direction sometimes to understand how to navigate through all of this, because this is not going to stop. They are who they are, okay? They're going to continue to do these types of things, but there is a way that we need to deal with these things. But anyway, it says a drunken NYPD officer in Tennessee got a slap on the wrist after he broke into a black woman's home, called her and her sons the N-word, and threatened to hurt them. Despite the egregious nature of his offense, Michael J. Reynolds was only set to spend a couple of weeks in jail for terrorizing Connie Halliburton and her 4 sons in Nashville. So apparently he's down in Nashville. He's from the NYPD. So maybe he was there on vacation or whatever. But anyway, he gets there and he gets into trouble. He gets into this situation, right? And they're giving him a slap on the wrist, right? Let me give you some more of this. It says, as many horror stories start out nowadays, an Airbnb was involved. Reynolds was renting one of his friend's bachelor party in September when, according to the Tennessean, he began kicking in the front door of Halliburton's next door. Okay. Video surveillance taken from a neighbor's Ring camera showed Reynolds screaming and threatening the family and using racial slurs. Now, all of this is taking place in the middle of the night. After the break-in, Halliburton said that her dogs tried to bite Reynolds, but that he would not be deterred. He kept coming down the hall, she said. Nothing was holding him back. He was like, this is my effing house, before the surveillance footage showed Reynolds threatened them with racist physical violence. Try to shoot me and I'll break every effing bone in your effing neck, Reynolds said before calling them effing N-words. Reynolds was not arrested until days later, even though Halliburton called 911 and police arrived after the NYPD cops' illegal, racist, and violent outburst. Despite those facts, Reynolds was sentenced to 2 weeks in jail and 3 years probation. In classic and very privileged form, Reynolds tried to blame his racism and violence on the alcohol. Oh, the alcohol made him do it. Oh, he had a rough upbringing. Oh, he was having a bad day. Oh, this, oh, that. The Tennessean reported that the cops testified that he thought Halliburton's home was the home that he and his friends, several of whom are also NYPD cops, rented next door. He thought this was the home that they rented. It was unclear what Reynolds' current employment status was with the NYPD, but the Tennessean listed him as having worked patrol in Manhattan and wrote that he was suspended for 30 days from his job, and although he had been discommissioned, he was still employed as a police officer in New York City. Okay, so you're probably saying, well, how can you get any type of redirection in this? I'm going to show it to you very easily, because in just about every situation that we are faced with, such as this, I can barely even look at this man's face. I had something else in my mind, but anyway, in situations like this, typically when they say, okay, you know what, we're going to give him a little bit of time, a slap on the wrist, and then we're going to send him not only back home, but he gets to keep his job too. So if he keeps his job, he keeps his income. He keeps his income, he keeps his lifestyle. And we typically, our people will just sit on it and just let it die right there. They were like, well, they told him he can be free. He doesn't have to do any more time. I guess 3 weeks is okay. Nobody got hurt, and we just let it die right there. This man and the departments, both in Tennessee and in New York, need to be called out on this. We need to start asking these questions. If this were a black police officer, I mean, a lot of people need to flood this information online, since you all are always on social media anyway. Put videos out there questioning them directly within the confines of the law, not breaking any laws or violating any social platform policies. Not using any type of intimidation or anything like that they can pin on you, but ask them, if this were a black officer who did this to a white woman and 4 white children, would she still have her job? Would he still have his job? Would he only have gotten 3 weeks? Would he get probation? Would he still have his job and his income and all of this? Would he have only gotten a slap on the wrist? These are the things that we all need to start asking. Putting them on Front Street, asking them. So is it only because he's white? Can you explain to me why his set of circumstances would be different? Because I can't see any examples of you doing this to a person that's so-called black person, right? And if they say, well, it's never happened like this before. Say, well, we have many examples throughout the country, around the world even. This year, last year, decades ago, we have many examples of very similar things where it may not have been someone threatening someone, but it can be something even smaller. We have very, very clear examples of so-called black people doing very minute things, and they are going to jail. They're being arrested. They're losing jobs. So if we continue to put them on Front Street the way they try to put us on Front Street, this kind of really exposes the reprobate nature of people who are not fair. Okay? They are not connecting to the truth. They are biased in their decisions, and all of this needs to be pointed out. We don't need to sit on these stories, okay? Especially the people who are the victims of these things. That family, they need to say whatever it is they have to say, even if they have to hide their identity, because a lot of people don't want to put their faces out there. But if that is what your situation is, get your story out there. Do a shadow video, whatever it is you have to do. Explain that you are the victim of this, and this is what happened to the perpetrator. Okay, that is one way that we can redirect. It's one thing for others to share your story just based on a few typed out lines on an article, but it's another thing for you to get on there and explain and really put emphasis on the terror that you felt or that you experienced in those moments. That is one thing that we can do to redirect, because these stories, they definitely don't need to be hidden, because we still have a lot of sleepers. And as long as we have sleepers, then we need to have those who are willing to cry aloud and spare not, and lift up our voices and expose this madness. You see, we talk about the things that happen in the Black community. Everybody's talking about what happens in the Black community. Now we need to talk about what happens in their communities as well. Okay, I think that is all for now. That is one way to redirect and still talk about these heinous, awful stories, okay, without overburdening ourselves with them. We can talk about them and give our people solutions on how to navigate through the madness. That is all for now. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe to this channel so that you can stay up to date on very important information and news. Shalom. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.